vet inte. Man kanske gör tummen upp där någonting.
Ja,
nu är vi
det
live.
funkar de här i alla fall. Då kanske det är dags.
Okay, are we ready? Shall we go? Cool. Nice to see you. Well, my name is Josef Eugenius and
Katarina Reiz.
we both work as UX designers at Bonnier News. And Bonnier News is the largest media group in the Nordics. Our journalism reaches 6 million readers, listeners and viewers every day. And we are here today to share a bit how we have worked with AI at Bonnier News this past year. But before we jump into what we have learned, we need to talk a little about our background. It all started at customer service and a situation where we had a large volume of incoming emails and calls from our customers. But what would happen if we would let a chatbot handle some of these questions from the customers? And so the customer service chatbot was set up. It efficiently and kindly solved simpler issues for our customers. And as the customer service chatbot was introduced, interest within the organization grew, and other departments and teams also wanted to try out chatbots. And we quickly realized that we needed an interface to our platform and a chatbot builder to be able to scale.
And so Crafting Space was created with the purpose to give everyone at Bonnier News easy access to our AI platform, Atom. And as you can see, Crafting Space is our chatbot builder interface. And this is where we set up our chatbots. We provide them with instructions and personality. We give them data sources, internal and external. And we also give them functions, which allows them to perform tasks, such as retrieving data from various sources. Could be BigQuery tables or underlying Salesforce data, but it could also be like fetching articles from our own publications, or sort of doing calculations and a lot of other stuff. And Atom as a platform is model agnostic, which means that we can choose any model we want for different bots and also any provider that we want. So the customer service bot that Josef mentioned, it runs on OpenAI model, but Azure is used as a provider so that we can ensure that the data is handled within the EU. Now you know a little bit about our background, so we're gonna jump into some of the learnings that we have made during this year. And the first one is about understanding our users' goal and how important that is. As we worked on various AI projects, we have realized that our chatbots interact with very different user groups, each with their own motivations and goals. And it's been super clear that we need to understand these in order to meet them in the right way, both in the conversation and in the design. Otherwise, we risk misaligning expectations and we will deliver a poor user experience.
Let's have a look at some of our chatbots that interact with external users. First off, we have the customer service chatbot. We also have Expressen's chatbot, Ask Expressen, for questions about football and such. And we have Dagens Industri's chatbot, Ask Plus Pro, for questions about industry and market trends. But let's start with the customer service chatbot. As we mentioned, everything started with that. At Bonnier News, we use Salesforce as a tool to manage our customers. When we gave this chatbot access to perform tasks within Salesforce, it became really powerful. For example, it can now make address changes, report delivery issues, and answer billing questions. So now it can do many of the same tasks as a customer service agent would do. And the user can often get help directly, and we are lowering the amount of calls and emails to customer service. And after this chatbot had been live for a while, we decided to talk to our users to understand their experience more deeply. What makes a good chat experience? And after a number of in-depth interviews, it became clear that this chatbot doesn't exist inside a vacuum. The user will always come to a chatbot with a specific task which we need to answer, and specific problem. And they come with different emotions. They can be confused, sad, frustrated, etc. How should the chatbot handle these emotions? And the customers also want efficiency in the problem solving.
Yeah, this is another example of one of our bots, the Expressen Allsvenskan bot, which we released last week. This is our newest bot, where football fans can talk about everything related to football and Allsvenskan. And we have connected this bot with both internal and external data sources, which means that it can answer questions about football then, based on our own journalism, but also and with source referencing to article that it got the information from. That's an important part. But it can also access external APIs or data sources to get highly detailed sports data almost in real time. And these users come to this bot with a totally different purpose than the customer service bot. These users are more driven by curiosity and desire to learn, and they usually don't have a specific problem in mind. So it's more about exploring and stats learning. But that also opens up for us to create a more playful user experience when forming the conversations.
And we got a third example here. It's called Ask Plus Pro, which is more of a work tool to our industry users. And this chatbot is connected to Dagens Industri and 16 industry-specific titles. The user can use this chatbot to get background material for a meeting, like a client meeting, do research about an industry, or search for information for a report. This means that the responses don't need to be as concise. You could rather want more information and maybe longer answers. And it can also be important to present different perspective also on a topic. And here you could say that source references are even more important.
Yeah, and these differences that we are talking about, they emerge in the conversations. We can see that users interacting with our customer service bot, which we see an example over here. They can sometimes be a bit worried. They have issues with their subscription, so that's understandable. But that means that our chatbot needs to be able to calm down the situation, and by making sure that the user really gets help, and also explaining it to them, and to provide clear feedback in order to show to the user that their problem is really being solved. And even though these customers might be frustrated and feel frustrated, we have rarely seen them being rude to the bot. Whereas we can see in that our football bot in Expressen needs to handle a totally different type of situation. The emotions after a football game can be quite different. And we have seen that some users use our bot as an outlet for their feelings after a game, and which triggered our guardrails to kick in and to prevent certain questions from even reaching our bot. But we also see a lot of detailed questions and speculative questions and initiated questions, which is also very fun.
Yes, moving on to matching the experience with the expectations. We are aware that it is a bit of a learning curve for using chatbots. You don't know which kind of data or which functions they have access to and what you are supposed to do with them. So we kind of have to set up these expectations. So we have played around with how to visually frame our chatbots and what to name them or call them. We could present them like very neutral, almost invisible, or we could really push like the playfulness and have like this biased supporter friend which talked like about football teams. And we talked to our users about this to try to learn something on what they preferred. And it was pretty clear that small hints in the look can affect what the users expect this chatbot to know, how it will answer and like which data it has access to, and how serious it is. Like when we tried to give our little Express and Wasp its team colors, our users kind of expected it to know more about that specific team, like this is the expert on my favorite team, compared to a more neutral chatbot. And other users also gave us feedback that we don't even need to name them anything. We should have them integrated into the interface instead.
Yep, so moving on. Release small, tweak, and improve. The work isn't over just because we have launched a chatbot. In fact, this is where a very important part begins. We have seen that we can be pretty fast in getting something out there, but to nail the last 20% when it comes to the UX and forming the conversation takes a lot of work and tweaking. And yeah, we can only learn so much from doing user interviews in advance and whether using our own test groups. But to truly understand how the user will use it and interact with it, we need to get something out there, something concrete. And in this way, we can kickstart the usage and start analyzing chats coming in and also collect feedback and then improve based on it. And I think this is something we have learned during the past year, that we learn so much from analyzing chats. It gives us a hint on which tweaks we need to do, and that it's about understanding the user's problem, but also understanding the bot's problem. Like, how does the bot interpret the user's issue, and what conditions have we given the bot? We have this example where the user is pretty short in its question, or it's hardly a question, it only says cancel. And the bot is a bit confused. Do you want to cancel this conversation, or do you want to cancel our subscription? I think the answer was in this conversation. And so this somehow we need to explain to the user what can be expected from the bot and what capabilities it has. And we also need to figure out the best way to gear our bot up so they can correctly interpret and understand our user, and assist it. And it could be that we need to add clearer instructions of what the bot can do, but also what it can't do, so that it won't overpromise stuff. We have had problems with that as well before. Yeah. And in some cases, we also realized that, okay, we need to add more functionality, or we need to add more data.
Yeah, and this analyzing work is often best done in cross-functional collaboration. So we work across teams, bringing together UX designers as us, developers, and experts with the right knowledge. For example, the customer service agents are best suited to know if an answer is good or not, because they know the customer's experience in and out. And the same goes with the Express and football chatbot. We need to work with the experts there as well. And reading these chats also fuels new ideas. Many of the new feature ideas have emerged from these cross-team talks about the chats. For example, an agent handover. Some problems are simply impossible for the chatbot to handle. So we have to teach the chatbot to recognize its own limits, to then trigger a handover to a real human to solve the problem. And we also added a feedback function, which made it a lot easier to find both good and the bad chats. But yeah, why are we even doing this? Why is Bonnier News even tapping into AI? As we all know, using AI is asking for problems. Hallucinations are a well-known issue, sometimes leading to pretty funny conversations. And if you're good at fact-checking, they can remain as just funny little accidents. So isn't it a huge risk that one of the biggest media groups in the Nordics to embrace this new risky technology? Yes. Everything we do is built on trust, and one could argue that trust is more important now than ever.
Users will always be on the search for knowledge. And all these big brands and new products are focusing on the users and aiming to provide answers to the questions and solve their problems. But as we mentioned, the challenge lies in sketchy sources or questionable training data, hallucinations, or even outright stolen material. But if we have a look at us, our content is our gold. It's fact-checked, and we want to keep it that way.
Yeah. So what is our unique selling points in all of this? As you said, all of journalism is fact-checked. We always have a responsible publisher for everything we publish, and people should always be able to trust us. But we also want to lower the thresholds. Can we be that go-to place for the user when they search for knowledge? We publish hundreds of articles every day, and we want our users to find the journalism that matters to them. And these are some examples of how it could look. Starting from the left here, you could dig deeper by asking a background question about an article or a certain event or topic. You could build like a knowledge search engine. This one heavily is inspired by Perplexity, but we could use like our own sources instead. You could have a theme-based chatbot, like the football chatbot, or a weekly industry summary, like this one for Dagens Industri. And the journalists will always be at the core. We are not removing the journalists from the process. The goal is to make their work more accessible and allow users to consume their work. And the source material must always be there, and someone has to do that work. So with our internal and external AI tools, we want to keep our users' trust by lowering the thresholds to our journalism and by using trustworthy sources.
Yeah, and then finally, circling back to where we started, I think when we sort of made this presentation, we also started to realize or talking about what is the UX in all this AI experience. And I think we realized that a lot of it is about going back to basics and using the full UX toolbox. And that it's an ongoing journey of exploration, and that we are learning new stuff every day, which is super fun. So thank you for listening.
Thanks.